All right, you guys, welcome to the fourth episode of Sunday Sports Wrap with Shaun. Today I wanted to do something different and bring on a guest. So when I get to the Major League news portion, Major League Baseball news portion, my brother Malik, who is a huge baseball fan, will join me to discuss the weekly news that Major League Baseball had this week and how he felt as a baseball fan when the Houston Astros cheating scandal news broke. Of course, before I get started, you guys, shout out to Cinescape Media and make sure you subscribe to Cinescape.media. Shout out to these guys like I do every week. They constantly help me to bring you guys the best new episodes that I can weekly here on my podcast, Sunday Sports Wrap with Shaun. Jump right into you guys. You know how I do. Breaking news. Tokyo Olympics 2020 was postponed until 2021 due to the coronavirus. This is not really a shock to anybody. It was a safe bet that this was going to happen. It's really going to be strange as far as how the Olympics is going to pick up in 2021, because usually the policy goes for the Olympics for sports is that it's usually 4 years. Every 4 years they hold the Olympics. So it's going to be really strange when they're pushing it back another year. But again, it was a safe bet this was going to happen because the coronavirus is going on, the constant stay home videos, social distancing. Everyone's practicing. You kind of knew this was coming, that they was going to cancel the Tokyo Olympics. So yes, that's the breaking news. Not really that breaking. Again, it was a safe bet this was going to happen. But yes, the Tokyo Olympics of 2020 was postponed till 2021 due to the virus. So you guys, I'm going to jump right from breaking news right into the NFL. The Panthers did end up releasing Cam Newton. Cam then released a video practicing with his trainer, saying he is free and the Panthers gave up on him. I discussed the Cam situation last episode, and I still believe the reason that he hasn't really got signed by anybody, because yes, Cam Newton is still a free agent. The former MVP has not been signed, and the reason why I believe that is because the teams are worried about his injury history. People still want to know if his shoulder's okay, his knee's okay, and that's kind of been throughout Cam's career after his MVP season in the year he went to Super Bowl with the Carolina Panthers. He's been dealing with a lot of nagging injuries that kept him out of games. It could be like 2, 3, 4 games. And, at some point, the Panthers was just not going to hold on to him. They was trying to trade him. But again, I talked about that all last week. I still think New England Patriots is a good fit for him. I believe Bill Belichick would love to have a Cam Newton. It'd be definitely different because how Cam dressed, how Cam, his brand, how he is off the field. He's not like a big mouth or anything like that, but he comes off as, loose. He's out there compared to how the New England Patriots culture is. So I still think he would be a good fit for them on the field. I feel like Bill Belichick and the Patriots really don't want to go into that rebuilding mode. I'm not saying they would be super contenders if they sign Cam like they would if they had Tom Brady. Because, that's big shoes to fill, having the GOAT of coming and filling shoes for the GOAT that was Tom Brady, that is now Tampa Bay Buccaneer. But I still think it'd be good for both Cam and Bill Belichick and the Patriots because, regardless how people feel, this is a former MVP quarterback, went to the Super Bowl. When he's healthy, he's still one of the most dynamic quarterbacks that's out there. So I still believe, I believe in Cam Newton. I really hype and I hope, he signs with any team he goes to and balls out. And he put out a statement that he's not looking at no redemption or looking at this as a redemption story or an underdog story. He said in his own words, I've always been a dog. That kind of gives me goosebumps because, again, Cam Newton is a dog, man. I love him as a quarterback. He does have some accuracy issues, but at the same time, I do believe that Cam is still that man that you can have, lead you to playoffs and most notably a Super Bowl if he has the right team around him. Deshaun Jackson is recruiting LaShawn McCoy, is trying to recruit, actually, LaShawn McCoy back to the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm getting this out of the way right now. As a Philadelphia Eagles fan, the idea of bringing back LaShawn McCoy at his age and due to his injury problems as well, it makes no sense when the Eagles have constantly preached about getting younger. I'm down if they're going to bring LaShawn McCoy back for a day contract or something like that, just to retire his jersey. Because when LaShawn McCoy was a Philadelphia Eagles, one of the most dynamic running backs the Eagles ever had. Probably one of my favorites after Brian Westbrook. But when you have Miles Sanders, who was kind of growing to his own last year as a rookie, Boston Scott came out of nowhere from the practice squad. I believe the next running back you should have is your third string is another younger guy that you can plug in with those two. Not an older guy like McCoy who've been having knee issues and stuff like that in and out of lineups at times and can't stay on the field. I just don't think it makes no sense when the Eagles have preached about getting younger. Speaking of the Philadelphia Eagles, this is more so towards Howie Roseman. The whole situation with the Eagles offseason, their plan has me so confused. When the offseason started, before the offseason started, you could say free agency started, Howie Roseman came out and said, and has basically been putting down people's throats, that the main goal was to get Carson Wentz some help, get him some weapons. If you paid attention to anything the Eagles have done this offseason, you could see it is a complete opposite from what Howie Roseman was talking about. They have literally ignored Carson Wentz and the help he needs on the wide receiver end. The whole plan was getting him some speedy playmakers, and they haven't got one all free agency. Now, don't get me wrong, Howie Roseman has done a good job as far as the decent to good job to the defensive side. He's added Hargraves, who was a defensive tackle from Pittsburgh Steelers, a young man that seemed like he has a lot of potential and definitely helped beef up the Eagles' defensive line. They added cornerbacks. A number one cornerback, they finally, like I talked about last week, they finally had their number one lockdown dude in Darius Slay. They got him to trade from the Lions on a good deal. They've kind of revamped their entire cornerback position, which is great. I've been preaching about this. If you know me as an Eagles fan, I've been talking about this forever, about them getting rid of the mess that was Jalen Mills and Ronald Darby as their starting cornerbacks that put no fear in any wide receivers throughout, the last couple seasons. And just really wanted them to revamp this entire secondary. I did want them to bring back the Eagles to bring back Malcolm Jenkins, but I understand, as far as age and money, I guess they saw something different as far as, moving forward. But I am happy that Howie did do down the defensive side. But when it comes to the offensive side, the fact that they're keeping a wide receiver group together that was basically dead last season with injuries, they had bad injuries all over the place. They had a constant anonymous source guy that was clearly Alshon Jeffrey, the wide receiver, who kept going to Josina Anderson about Carson Wentz, about the offense, how he felt like it just wasn't smooth enough. Just talking like a little, girl about his team to a reporter. So you kept the locker room cancer, basically, and a second-round pick that Howie Roseman drafted last year in J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who could barely get on the field, is crazy to me. That this could possibly be that the wide receiver group the Eagles going to have to deal with, as fans are going to have to deal with going to next season. Now, I know the draft is still coming up, and everyone's, telling me to be patient, that Howie Roseman has a plan as far as wide receivers. But again, with Howie Roseman's draft record, do not have the utmost confidence that he's going to do the right thing. There's rumors that the Eagles are probably going to trade their first-round draft pick and trade back so they can get more draft picks, which again makes no sense to me because the first thing they should want to do is hold on to that first-round draft pick and get a damn receiver for Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is a gun-slinging type of quarterback that wants to get the ball down the field. So this idea that you will not surround him with speedy receivers makes no sense to me, and it's completely contradicting the offensive offseason plan that Howie Roseman said they wanted to do, because we clearly see that is what Carson needs, is speedy playmakers. Not old receivers and Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson, who I still love Deshaun Jackson. He showed he still has some speed in him before. But again, the Eagles last year, you saw when Deshaun Jackson went down with his injury, the Eagles did not have a replacement. They did not have an insurance policy, and they had no more deep threats. So Carson was again relying on to give the ball to Zach Ertz, because Alshon Jeffrey is not fast anymore. And people would never really say he was really fast, but he was a reliable deep threat. But he has nagging issues with his knee, or I don't know if it was more of his knee or his toe, but he can't stay on the field. He's getting older and he's getting a step slower. So I don't understand how Roseman's game plan here is. Maybe it'll become more crystal clear once the draft is over. But the fact that, they held onto the locker room cancer, that is Alshon Jeffrey, who just tells Josina Anderson from ESPN everything. a wide receivers group that has a few players in Alshon Jeffrey and, Deshaun Jackson that is older, and all that other stuff, it just really doesn't mesh well for Carson Wentz coming up to next year. And the fact that Howie Roseman is putting all his eggs into undrafted wide receivers, it's just astonishing to me. I think the Eagles definitely should have gotten a veteran wide receiver, at least someone in their 26, 27, 28 years old, to at least be that backup plan just in case those guys in Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey go down. I'm still hoping before the draft is over or by the time the draft comes that Alshon Jeffrey is off the team. Again, I'll probably make my own YouTube video on that because I am still pissed that this man is still in the Philadelphia Eagles. But on the business side of it, it would be dead money if the Eagles do just let him go. So, but again, I was just the Eagles. If I was Howie Roseman, I would just drop Alshon Jeffrey, let them eat the cap, realize that it was a miss giving him that money, and get the locker room cancer out of the team. We do not need any more rats. We do not need that type of attention coming from the locker room when you're trying to push towards the playoffs or whatever they're trying to do with Carson Wentz. It just doesn't make sense that Alshon Jeffrey's still there. So there's my rant. Okay, I had to have my rant because I've been thinking about this for a whole week leading up to this, episode of Sunday Sports Wrap with Shaun. After DeAndre Hopkins was traded, Deshaun Watson has, given out some cryptic tweets about the trade. You go back and watch episode 3 of Sunday Sports Wrap with Shaun. I broke down how stupid Bill O'Brien and the Tex organization was. Basically, most notably, Bill O'Brien trading away, one of the top 3 wide receivers in the game, one of the best wide receivers, in this position, of course, as I just said, and trading away for none but basically chips and pennies to the Arizona Cardinals. And the fact that Deshaun Watson is sending out these cryptic tweets, and at the time he's probably at his house right now, if I was him, I would request a trade. I said this last episode, I just don't understand what the Texans' plans are. I don't know where Bill O'Brien's head is, and if I'm Deshaun Watson, I'm questioning everything going forward. Because not only did you trade away a good friend of mine, but you traded our best weapon and our most consistent weapon, since I've been here as your quarterback. I know Deshaun Watson is going to handle it like a gentleman. He's going to handle it like a professional from what I've seen. I don't obviously know the man personally. But if I was him, I would talk to management like, hey, what is the plan going forward? Because if I don't like it, because you trade away my best weapon, my most consistent weapon, I don't want to be here. That's just not it for me. I don't want to be here. Other news, Melvin Gordon, now as a Broncos running back, has come out and said he regrets on how he handled the holdout situation. I said this the past couple episodes. Melvin Gordon has, to me, one of the biggest L's when it comes to running backs in free agency or holdouts, whatever you want to call it. The fact that he's come out and said he regret how he handled the holdout situation just shows it's really just another score one for the owners and GMs that believe that the running backs are just, it is understandable why they're undervalued, why they don't care about that position. I said to you guys before, verbatim, constantly for weeks, that what Melvin Gordon did, holding out for much money he wanted from the Chargers, and then coming back there in the middle of the season last year and not performing well and living up to his current contract and trying to say he wanted a higher pay rate for this contract coming up and not getting it and then getting released, and then his backup ended up getting the money he wanted, or at least as far as an extension. And then he went to the Broncos and signed for, I think it was a 2-year, $10 million deal, which was like $5 million a season. It really just shows exactly why, to me, he held the L. Melvin Gordon really, him apologizing and coming out saying he regrets on how he handled the situation. I don't believe it's sincere. I really believe he just apologized and covered his own ass because it didn't work out the way he wanted it. If he would have got the money that he wanted for holding out in the first place, then we wouldn't be hearing about no regrets. He's only regretting it because he did not get the money that he asked for. Speaking of getting the money you asked for, this guy didn't either, but free agent cornerback Xavier Woods signed a 1-year deal with the Indianapolis Colts. Honestly, I think it was a good signing by the Colts. I think Xavier Rhodes, I believe he is a solid cornerback, veteran presence in the Indianapolis Colts locker room. I think it'll help them out a lot. An AFC executive came at Roger Goodell's for his draft warning to teams. He's called the AFC executive called it ridiculous and embarrassing. Give you guys the rundown of what happened. This came after Roger Goodell sent out a memo saying anyone criticizing the continued plan of the NFL draft happening around April 23rd to the 25th will be met with disciplinary action. Now, AFC executive, like I said, when Roger Goodell sent out that memo saying anyone that criticizes him or doesn't like the fact that they're still going to hold the draft at the current date of April 23rd, and then we met with disciplinary action, I can see why the AFC executive, as I wrote, I can see why he's upset about that. It just doesn't sound right. It comes off as a bit like a dictator. As a lot of people say Roger Goodell is his time as the commissioner for the NFL. But, again, like I said, I can see why the AFC executive is upset, and anybody would be upset because Goodell's words kind of come off as like a threat. And it gives off a vibe to the league like you can't voice your opinion if you disagree with his or disagree how the NFL is going about their business dealing with the coronavirus involving the NFL draft. Personally, as a fan, I'm behind having the draft as planned just because, I just want some type of normalcy around it. I just really, really want the NFL draft to happen. More so, of course, as a fan of the Eagles and seeing what we do. But, you just want some normalcy. I mean, it just feels weird with this whole virus going around and the social distancing and, stay at home and no sports on TV. You just want something going on. That's why I've been so excited that the NFL has continued their NFL free agency as going as planned. So especially when you can, with the NFL draft, I know it's not going to be the same when those college players, that busted their ass since they was in high school, to get to the point where they get to walk on that stage as a number one draft pick overall, or anytime they get to go on that stage and shake Roger Goodell's hand and say, hey, mom, dad, I made it NFL, or get that phone call. I know it takes away the emotional and, that feeling you have is, damn, I made it. But I still think they can do it electronically, online. They can still have everybody stay at home and still have kind of like a draft going on. So I do believe as a fan, I'm personally behind them still having it as it is. But I can understand why the AFC executive that was mad at Roger Goodell called it ridiculous and embarrassing. Because, again, you don't want someone, no matter who you are, as a grown man, woman, don't matter. You do not want a person telling you that your opinion doesn't matter and that you could be in trouble if you try to speak up against, feeling some type of way, towards, someone else's words. In this case, Roger Goodell saying that you will be met with disciplinary action if you criticize the continued plan of the draft. You kind of, it takes you back like, wait, what? I can't speak my opinion that, I don't agree with this. I think you should push it back. So we don't know what the AFC executive was. It just said, of course, when I read it and I got the source that it was AFC executive. Obviously, this person's going to stay anonymous. He doesn't want to get any type of disciplinary action from Roger Goodell. But again, I understand why that person was upset, or any person would be upset. But again, as an NFL fan, guilty as charged. I still want the draft to go as planned on April 23rd through to the 25th. All right, guys, now on to the NBA news of the week. Utah Jazz players Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell have been cleared and cured of the coronavirus. Remember, guys, as I spoke about this on Sunday Sports Wrap with Shaun, it was probably episode 1 or 2. These were the first 2 NBA superstars that was publicly reported to having a coronavirus that caused the NBA to suspend their season. So really starting off, you guys, with NBA news that, with good news, that these 2 guys are cleared. Rudy Gobert really didn't really post anything as far as, anything about being happy or anything, maybe because he still see people post about him, calling him patient zero, because he was the first one that was publicly reported to having the virus. Then it turns out his teammate, their franchise player, Donovan Mitchell, had it. So I don't know, maybe Rudy Gobert might feel a little, guilty, even though, again, I don't know why he would be guilty. It's not like we don't know how, he got the virus or if he gave it to his teammate. But nonetheless, Donovan Mitchell, he did post, he was on his Twitter page and post, I think it was his Instagram page. He posted a a meme of a kid dancing, basically having fun with his classmates. The kind of show in the own GIF, meme fashion that he's excited and really happy that he's been cleared and cured of the coronavirus. So that's really good. That's really nice to hear. And there has been other news of that as well. I believe Shaun Payton, real quick NFL news, I believe Shaun Payton was actually cleared and cured of it as well, just after last week tested positive for having it. But nevertheless, Rudy Gobert, two Utah Jazz players, Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell have both been cleared and cured of the coronavirus. On to other news, NBA Pistons forward Christian Wood was pissed a couple weeks ago that the media leaked his name, that he had the coronavirus before he could tell his own mom. I wrote it down immediately. He has every right to be upset. This was a personal matter that he should have, had the chance to tell his family before the media did leak that story. It came out as well that the Detroit Pistons basketball head coach Dwayne Casey was very unhappy that Christian Wood's coronavirus was leaked as well. Again, guys, I agree why Christian Wood would be upset. This was a public, this was a personal, I'm not public. This was a personal matter that he should have a chance to tell his family, like I just said, because, when you find out that you have this virus, the first thing you want to do is tell your family, get that word out to them before the whole world, comes. And that's how the media is, man. The sports media, journalism, whatever you want to call it, there's no soul in that business at times. People just care about being the first one to report that news. They want to be the first one to get that news out. And not even thinking that, hey, maybe we should let him contact his folks first. Hey, Christian, we found out that you had the virus. Do you want it, do you want us to release the story, or do you want to tell your folks first before we release it? Because at some point, of course, the media is going to release the story. But at least give me the damn chance to tell my own mom, sister, brother, whoever I, associate myself with before the entire, nation is out there, coming at my head and letting it be known before my own folks know. Can you imagine as his mom, his grandma, whoever, that you get a call, before you even get a call from your own son or daughter saying, hey, mom, dad, whatever, I got the coronavirus. You don't even get to tell them that. All they got to do is turn the TV on and immediately someone leaked it. Just snap a finger. Someone has to put it out there because all the media cares about, there's just tons of reporters out there, and journalists just care about being the first ones to put their name on and say, hey, I was the first one who reported this. Come follow me and listen to what I have to say about it. When this was a personal matter that Christian Wood, the Pistons forward, should have been able to tell his own mom about first. So he was pissed about that. The good news, though, I did read, though, is that he was fully healthy from the virus. So, again, that's three players. Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell and Christian Wood are fully healthy from the virus. So that is good, despite the fact he was pissed that the test got leaked. It is good to hear that Christian was also one of the players that was fully healthy from the virus. But we have some bad news, you guys, when it comes to the NBA. NBA announcer Doris Burke has tested positive for the coronavirus. Doris Burke is one of my favorite sports announcers, let alone, of course, NBA announcers and broadcasting games on ESPN. And it's sad, to hear that Doris Burke was tested positive for the coronavirus. It made me think, of course, she didn't come out and say that she had. I think ESPN released a story on Twitter. I saw it, on Twitter. I'm always constantly on Twitter. By the way, follow me on Twitter at Sunday Sports Rap with Shaun. I thought I would have plug in there. But yeah, man, it's crazy. It got me thinking, how did she get the virus? It seems like a lot of people have been practicing the social distancing, but maybe she already had it. Again, it's not like the government is out here giving us, tests, for everybody. It's just like we're all finding out different celebrities, different public figures have it every week. So I don't. It was also reported, because I didn't even know James Dolan, the owner for the, I believe GM or owner, probably got messed up, for the New York Knicks. He has it. So again, we don't even know who has these virus, who's carrying the virus, and everyone's talking about stay at home. Well, what if Doris Burke was staying at home? We don't know. She stayed at home and she probably had it the whole time. So again, man, Doris Burke has tested positive for the coronavirus, and it's sad because, again, not because she's one of my favorite announcers, because again, it's another person where it's just like it's spreading and everyone's, it seems like everyone's doing the right thing as far as staying at home. Good news through college basketball in the NBA. Opie Toppin, I probably said his name wrong. Opie Toppin declared for the NBA draft. Opie Toppin was a forward for the Dayton Flyers. For people that don't watch college basketball, but of course know the college, Dayton University. Um, yes, Opie Toppin was a forward for them. He is going to the draft. Believe he declared yesterday. It was Saturday or Friday. He declared for the draft. But a little rundown of who Opie Toppin is. He is an AP Player of the Year. AP Player of the Year is basically Associated Press. It's a huge honor in NCAA. He was a guy who averaged 20 points a game, 7 rebounds a game, and 2 assists a game. He's projected to be a top 5 draft pick in the NBA draft coming up this year. After the season ends, at some point, whenever they decide to start back up again. But that's later on down the road. I'll be honest, just like the guy from Georgia last week, I have not paid attention to a lot of college basketball this year. I'm all over the place as far as NBA and NFL. So I really have not done my due diligence and pay attention to college basketball when the season was going on and before they took away March Madness, which was so sad. But what I'm hearing about Opie Toppin, the Dayton forward, has gotten praise from a lot of players and from scouts. One scout said you can't name 5 players better than him. So that's a hell of praise. The fact that there's a scout out there saying you can't name 5 players better than him. So I can't wait to see how who Opie Toppin is as far as when he gets to the draft. When they talk about him. But of course, all that is on hold. That's why I haven't really made much of an effort to find out who he was because again, who knows on NBA? My mind is stuck on the fact that NBA season is still suspended. It sucks. At this point that we still don't know when that's coming back. But yes, Opie Toppin did declare for the NBA draft, and there's scouts out there saying that hey, this guy's going to be a beast. So I can't wait to see where he goes when in the NFL draft eventually when we get there. Karl-Anthony Towns, last bit of news for NBA. Not a lot happened for NBA this week. Karl-Anthony Towns announced on social media that his mom has tested positive for coronavirus. I hope she has a speedy recovery. I don't know Karl-Anthony Towns personally. As a fan, of course, I know who he was. The former Kentucky Wildcat is a beast in the NBA. So it's really, but regardless, it's still sad to hear that his mom tested positive for this. I don't want to be 100% wrong. I believe he says she's in a coma right now. Again, hope she recovers okay. Joel Embiid, the center for the Philadelphia 76ers, did a great thing. He reached out and for his support to Karl-Anthony Towns. It just goes to show no matter how these guys feel about each other on the floor. And the reason why I brought that up is because Joel Embiid and Karl-Anthony Towns actually had some beef at times when they played each other. Timberwolves versus the Sixers, and it doesn't. They had scruffles at times when they played each other, but it doesn't matter at times. When you get off the floor, and in the end these are grown men. You got a lot of respect for each other. So the fact that Joel Embiid reached out for support, to throw out his support for Karl-Anthony Towns, say hey man, my prayers for your mom is great, man. I think that was really great what Joel Embiid did. All right, guys, before I take a quick break and get into the Major League Baseball news, I'm bringing my brother Malik in here. Again, I'm excited to see how he feels about the recent comments by the MLB commissioner. But before I do that, you guys, as always, don't forget to check out and subscribe to Cinescape Media. These guys is constantly, as I said in the beginning of the introduction, these guys are constantly working their butts off, making sure I bring you guys the best episode weekly of Sunday Sports Wrap with Shaun. I'll be right back in a second, you guys. All right, guys, welcome back to Sunday Sports Wrap with Shaun. Before I dive into Major League Baseball news, I want to introduce my brother Malik as my special guest. Like I told you guys in the beginning during my intro, he's a huge baseball fan, and we and him, I love getting his input and his opinion of what's going on to one of his favorite sports leagues. Major League Baseball, though, detailed criteria for restarting the season in agreement with the Major League Baseball PA. The reports was that Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred said he hopes the season can start in May and will have a shortened season going forward during the epidemic. The details of the agreement was there was no bans on mass gatherings, no travel restrictions. Medical experts will decide if any games will risk fans and players, and some teams may not even get to play a full 162 game season. Now, my take on it as a fan, my brother Malik is a bigger fan of me when it comes to baseball. I understand that leagues want to get back to normal, but if we get into May and we still don't have any positive outlooks when it comes to this virus, I believe any league, no matter if it's Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, etc., they should stay suspended. I don't like the idea that teams, there'll be teams out there that won't even get a full season because of this epidemic. So the fact that MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred wants to do that, as far as bringing a season back and telling anyone there's no bans on mass gatherings, I don't agree with that. I don't think any season should continue until we get a good handle on what this virus is. So Malik, as a fan of baseball, you pay attention to this stuff closely. What do you feel like? How do you feel as far as what you heard MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred say?
First and foremost, thanks for having me on. Episode 4. We're getting deep into this. About his decisions, Rob Manfred's decisions and the details of the agreement. I don't really understand the no banning or having travel restrictions. I agree. If until the pandemic is, this is all dealt with, there should be no season. Now, as a fan, it absolutely sucks because obviously opening day was, I want to say last week, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. So at first I'm hearing the news like, oh, he's pushing it back 8 weeks, and then it was getting pushed off into the summer. And now like we might not have an all-star game. So it's kind of starting to hit me as a baseball fan. But I actually don't really want to not have the season, but if you can't have the season, don't have the season. Like, it's going to suck. You're going to lose a lot of revenue, but at the same time, there's nothing more important than your player's safety. I actually want to give old Rob Manfred a shout out because he actually handled this. To me, he's handling it pretty well. As a fan, when you hear him say we don't have any control over when the season can start, but then you kind of give these ideas and details of when it can. I know some people, will not like certain things or agree with certain things, but I think the most important thing is always a player safety. Having no travel restrictions, though, I'm kind of tied two ways with that because it's like teams have to travel to play each other. You can't have 30 teams play in one stadium. Because then it's like, what do you do with the fans? How do fans get their, like, guys who pay for season tickets, how to get their money back and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm at a lost position in what they're doing now because it's like I just missed the sport. So it's like that will kind of cloud my judgment over anything he's doing. But I will give him the benefit of the doubt this time for responding very well to this. And he's showing he cares about his players, which is, as a fan, odd to me because we all know about what happened with the Houston Astros scandal in 2017 and the Boston Red Sox with the Apple Watches in 2018. He didn't really respond. He kind of gave, reports from the commissioner's office and stuff like that. And they kind of gave out warnings to the players and teams. And that's where a lot of players are getting on him about because you respond very fast to things you want to respond to. You have to respond to this because it's a pandemic. The world is feeling it. So it's like you feel the pressure now to say, oh, we're trying this. But when it came to your actual, inside your sport, he struggled with that. So I'll give him hands off. I'll give him, benefit of the doubt. Hats off to this.
All right, Malik, thank you for that answer to what MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred said. Still funny because he constantly tells me forget that dude. But, he did give off a really straight answer. Other reports, Malik, I want to hear your opinion on is they're saying that Major League Baseball league playoffs could expand to 14 teams. This is nothing new as far as, what I've been telling you guys these last couple of weeks when it comes to no matter what league, it's NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, we've been hearing that teams, leagues want to expand their playoff format. We saw a couple weeks ago the NFL expand their playoff format with 2 more teams, one from the AFC and one from the NFC. So Malik, as a fan, How do you feel about Major League Baseball possibly expanding to 14 teams?
Yeah, I'm all for playoff expansion, but when it comes to baseball, and I know a lot of people will say, the duration of the games are very long. I think the average baseball game is about 3 hours. Um, there's already what 5 teams from each league, the American and National League. Like, what are you going to do? Add two more wild card games? Like, I don't understand this at all. Like, I'm for it with the NFL and basketball, but it's like at the same time with baseball, the games already take so long, and your season starts late March, early April, and it's going to end with possibly with more teams at the end like into November. That's a lot of time for baseball, and people already don't get into it until the playoffs. So I don't agree with this. I don't think they should. Um, I mean, as a fan, I guess I'm conflicted because it's like more baseball, but at the same time, it's like the playoffs are already. It takes so long to get to the playoffs already. How about the change he could make is shortening the season from 162 to maybe like 120, 110. It's a lot of games, and then like I said, like a lot of people don't really get into the sport until the playoffs come. So I don't agree with expanding the playoff format.
All right, Malik, thank you for that. And one last thing, you guys, I got for this episode of Sunday Sports Wrap with Shaun when it comes to Major League Baseball news. World Series was re-aired on Friday between the Nationals versus the Astros. And the comment section on YouTube had fans trashing the Astros throughout the entire game. My brother Malik wanted to come on for one of these very reasons. I have never got to hear his opinion on the whole cheating scandal that was going on with the Houston Astros. So Malik, if you can please, how did you feel when that whole news broke out? We're going out in 2017. How did you feel as a fan, and do you feel like the Astros was dealt a good hand as far as how the whole news came out in the first place?
Okay, here we go. Before I get into the question, huge congratulations to the Nationals for winning the World Series in a classic 7 games. I enjoyed it, but I know the elephant in the room, or let's say any success the Houston Nationals have had in the last 3 years or so, will be scrutinized because of what took place in 2017. I've never had this platform to speak on this, and Shaun, great job on the show, and thank you for allowing me to talk about this, finally speak my piece about it. In 2017, we all know about the trash banging, the illegal, ironic, I'm saying illegal, stealing of signs, even though sign stealing is legal in baseball. But they used technology and cameras from center field, left field, wherever you want to say, to, you know, decode catcher signs. And they were doing this in real time. I'm with the world when they say the real time thing is what separates it from any other scandal in baseball history, because it's like the other team stands absolutely no chance to defend themselves. You might as well just tell them, hey, I'm about to throw you a fastball and stuff like that. But I will keep this very short because my opinion on this has changed drastically when it comes to the course of it happening over 3 years. 2017 was 2017. In 2018, I guess there was some things still going on, but there has been no proof or evidence given by the Major League Baseball that it has continued or even gotten more advanced. I heard these things about buzzers. I couldn't believe my ears when I heard these on a lot of sports radios. But in 2018, there was no evidence. In 2019, there was no evidence. What I'm not going to do as a baseball fan, that I think a lot of baseball fans are doing to themselves, is every time we see Houston now, you just think about 2017. They're still loaded. They still had to play defense. They still had to pitch. Now, 2017 is 2017. We can get into the whole, strip them of the World Series title, take their rings away, whatever. That's everyone's opinion and their right to have one. I'm speaking on 2019. I seen a really good baseball team. I do a lot of my own investigation as well. Shout out to John Boy Entertainment on YouTube. I do a lot of that stuff too. I go looking for things and stuff like that when I feel some things are, too good to be true. But at the same time, I don't think we need to be holding 2017 over them forever because it doesn't mean they did it in 2018. It doesn't mean they did it in 2019. I just think um, they shouldn't have done what they did in 2017. And I can say I hope they learn from their lesson. I think this is why I'm going to miss the season even more because I think this was their year to prove to everyone they're still a dominant team. Now, obviously, the problem with 2017 was they're so good already, they don't need the extra advantage. So it's like, oh my God, you got Alex Bregman, Carlos Correa, Jose Altuve. And I'm naming guys who they didn't even come out and say use the banging or use buzzers, as they said in 2019, but just, some of the top players. They already have these guys, so like they don't need the extra advantage. But speaking on like 2019, I see these same comments on YouTube, and it's like, are you really just going to troll them the entire time instead of like enjoying the highlights you're even watching? You must miss baseball that much to the point you'll watch an Astros game, even though you know it's them against the Nationals. You're not. I'm pretty sure you're not just watching to see the Nationals win because everyone in the world isn't a National fan. You know what I mean? So I do feel badly for the Houston fans because they don't know they don't know what's real now. So it's like they don't know when they were winning the right way or the wrong way. So it's like it's a lot. So but speaking on that, like my opinion has changed on it. Like I am very disgusted by what they did in 2017. It hurt as a fan, but I'm not the kind of person that's going to hold that on them over them for 2018 or 2019. And I'm pretty sure 2020 they'd probably be back in at least the American League Championship Series. They're that good of a baseball team. So I understand both sides, but that's my take on it.
All right, thank you so much from my brother Malik and some special guests. He just got out of here, but I appreciate his answer. Very deep, deep answer, from a baseball fan. He wanted to get that off his chest for a while, so I'm happy here at Sunday Sports Wrap with Shaun, episode 4, that I was able to give him that platform to speak his mind, his opinion, what's going on. For the rest of the show, you guys, here at Sunday Sports Wrap with Shaun, episode 4, I'm going to dive into the XFL, some little XFL news. I put side notes with more WWE news. I heard some WWE fans out there that wanted me to break down a little bit what's going on to WWE as far as the coronavirus. I'm not a huge WWE fan because they have been garbage for some time now. And the last thing I'm going to talk about, you guys, I do my weekly favorite thing I saw of the week before I get out of here. So let's get right into the XFL. Like I told you guys last week on episode 3 of Sunday Sports Wrap with Shaun, the XFL, because their season was so short, they were going to allow players, XFL players, to sign with NFL teams, and that's what we have as far as news in the XFL this week. The Atlanta Falcons signed Houston Roughnecks as an XFL team. The Houston Roughnecks linebacker Edmund Robinson got a decent linebacker from the XFL. Houston Roughnecks got signed by the Atlanta Falcons. In the short season, he had 22 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. Other news, there are multiple NFL teams interested in Roughnecks, another Houston Roughneck player, wide receiver Cam Phillips. Those teams are the Dolphins and the Bengals. Cam Phillips led the XFL in catches with 44, 445 receiving yards, and 9 touchdowns. In the WWE, going right to WWE, you guys, WWE superstar Roman Reigns, he's one of their top guys apparently, has dropped out of WrestleMania due to the coronavirus, reaching one of the current WWE superstars. That's right, you guys. For anyone that did not know, the WWE has been hit with the coronavirus as well. I believe the superstar that was hit, his name was The Miz. And I guess, Roman Reigns, what I've heard is he deals with leukemia throughout, he's dealt with leukemia throughout his life. So he was worried his immune system could be compromised. He could be in trouble if he gets in contact with the coronavirus. So a lot of respect to, if that is the reason he dropped out of this, dropped out of WrestleMania, is because, there's a chance he could, his immune system is not the best. He doesn't seem like he's a gentleman at that age where you hear statistics where it could be bad if he caught the coronavirus. But the fact that he is worried about his health was really says a lot about him as far as, listen, I don't want to catch this. I don't want to get this virus and my family be in danger as well. So let me just drop out of WrestleMania. I believe he was slated to be in the main event too. So it really took a lot of guts for Roman Reigns to drop out. I'm gonna say right now, you guys, like I said, I'm not the biggest WWE fan. I'm more of an AEW guy now, but it's really, really crazy to me that Vince McMahon is still going to have WrestleMania. I'm hearing they're going to do it, have 2 nights of WrestleMania. They're going to break it down to 2 nights. It just really makes no sense when I've heard reports that there's been superstars telling, basically coming out and saying that they're upset that Vince really still wants to have WrestleMania scheduled. They're going to have WrestleMania at their performance center with no fans. So it's not really going to feel like WrestleMania. I have no idea if they're still charging people to watch it in like pay-per-view. No one knows what's going on. It just seems ridiculous that Vince McMahon still wants to have WrestleMania when one of your superstars literally got the coronavirus. And I'm hearing that superstar, The Miz, is not going to be at WrestleMania, but who knows who else he got in contact with that could end up getting the virus as well. So there's a little side note, WWE news. The favorite thing I saw this week, you guys, transition right into that. New Orleans Saints quarterback Drew Brees and his wife Brittany pledged $5 million to the state of Louisiana to help with the coronavirus pandemic. Every week you guys seem like we just hear you. And again, it's not just Drew Brees and his wife. There's tons of stories of people coming out and, athletes, celebrities, giving off, lump sum of money to help out, with medical care for people, meals, students, that's missing school right now. But, that was one of the best things I saw this week. Drew Brees, and his wife, pledged $5 million, to the state of Louisiana to help deal with the coronavirus pandemic. As always, you guys, this has been Shaun, Sunday Sports Wrap with Shaun, episode 4. Thank you for joining me. You can follow me on Twitter at SSWrap with Shaun. That's capital SSW. And then, of course, the rest is lowercase. Rap with Shaun. Follow my Facebook page, Sunday Sports Rap with Shaun. It's very, very self-explanatory. And of course, you guys, do not forget to subscribe to Cinescape Media. I am out, you guys. This has been episode 4 of Sunday Sports Rap with Shaun. I will see you guys next week for episode 5. Peace and be safe. I was going to say have a good day. But yes, make sure you guys out there being safe. Social distance, stay home. All right, guys, I'm out. Peace.